Welcome back to my channel. I decided to make a video before episode 5 drops on what I think is going to happen in the second half of the season for the Wheel of Time TV series. We are 4 episodes in with 4 episodes to go, and this particular episode will contain spoilers, at least through the end of The Eye of the World, as well as a little bit of The Great Hunt, because we have heard murmurs that there may be scenes from the second book that make it in the first season of the TV show. So just fair warning, some spoilers. I'm not going to surprise any book fans with that. Okay, so we know the chapter titles of the next 3 episodes, and I think we know the title of the last one, though I'm not sure. So episode 5 is titled Blood Calls Blood. Episode 6 is titled The Flame of Tar Valon. Episode 7 is about the Ways. And episode 8 maybe is titled The Eye of the World. That's the framework we have to work with, and I'm going to be honest, Blood Calls Blood is confusing to me as a chapter title at this point in the story. I immediately recognize this title as one of my favorite chapter titles from book 2, which is among my favorite books of the series. I've read that one, not the most, but certainly a fair number of times, and Blood Calls Blood is about the Dark One's prophecies. So perhaps episode 5 is going to give us some information about prophecies. Maybe it's the Dark One's prophecies, maybe it's all of the prophecies, including the prophecies of the Dragon Reborn. So we'll have to wait and see. The other possibility is that we will see something about the Forsaken in this episode, which obviously are thematically important, and I, for one, would not think it is a bad idea for the Forsaken to be introduced before we just randomly meet them at the end of the book of The Eye of the World. As a reader, I found the end of The Eye of the World very confusing. So I think having some of that expectation of who these dark channelers from the Age of Legends are earlier in the story would actually help make that climactic scene more climactic. So Blood Calls Blood might be a reference to learning about the Forsaken or learning about the Dark One's prophecies and just really kind of how important is this whole Dragon Reborn thing. So I'm hopeful that that is what that means, but we will find out. I also suspect in this particular episode that we are going to learn about Nynaeve's block. Remember, the end of episode 4 showed her coming into her power, but I don't think she knows that she can channel before that moment, so there's probably going to be some explanation as to how she did what she did, as well as why she can't just do it all of the time, because we do need Nynaeve's crazy power levels to be mitigated somewhat by the fact that she needs to be in the right emotional frame of mind to do anything at all. So I think we'll get a little bit of that. We'll also probably see some travel montage with Mat and Rand. I don't know how detailed we're going to get with the progression of characters traveling from where they are now, which is a little ambiguous, all the way to Tar Valon. In the books, they only go to Caemlyn and then they take the Ways, but since we are not going to Caemlyn, I'm assuming they're going to walk all the way to Tar Valon, and the show will just skip the boring parts of the journey and we'll all meet up there in, probably the episode after this one. I also think episode 5 is going to be primarily a Perrin chapter because he wasn't too much in the last chapter, and we know that Perrin is owed some big character development in Eye of the World. I suspect that the traveling people are going to be attacked by, I think in this case, White Cloaks. In the books, Perrin, Elias, and Egwene are all attacked by White Cloaks in like that little small steading that is on the plains. And Perrin murders 2 White Cloaks because the wolves are, interfering with his judgment, and he tries to defend them and to offend himself and Egwene, and he kills 2 White Cloaks, and that sets up a whole character arc for him that goes all the way to the end of the series. So I don't think that we're going to skip that. I do think that Perrin is going to encounter White Cloaks and kill some White Cloaks, but they might give him a more justification around who he is protecting. So I suspect that, Egwene and Perrin are going to be kind of happy with the traveling people going eastbound towards Tar Valon. I don't know how far they're going to get with the wagons. And then the White Cloaks are going to attack them for some reason. I don't know why. Or potentially they'll meet up with the Aes Sedai, and the Aes Sedai will get attacked by the White Cloaks, but I think it's going to be the traveling people based on some images that were in the trailer that we haven't seen yet in the show. So, that may be the climax of this episode. I have noticed that the episodes kind of take a similar framework where the first half tends to be character development and information and some exciting things, but then the end of the episode has all of the big action scenes that we then use to propel us into wanting to watch the next episode, which is a really good way to write a script. So probably that fight will take place at the end, although I am not 100% sure, and again, I'm not really sure how that's going to tie into Blood Calls Blood. Then we'll have episode 6, and so, by that point, we might be in Tar Valon already, because it is called the Flame of Tar Valon. So I don't know if Mat and Rand are going to get there first and then kind of kick back a little while, waiting for the other parties to arrive. It is very possible that we will meet Loial in Tar Valon instead of Caemlyn. That makes a lot of sense. It is also very possible that we will meet Min in Tar Valon, or possibly Fal Dara, but I'm leaning towards Tar Valon right now because something has to propel this group to go to Fal Dara and the Blight and the Eye of the World. In the books, this is a combination of dreams and Moiraine being kind of a, for lack of a better word, religious character. And when all of these coincidences happen at once in Caemlyn, she comes to the assumption or realization that the pattern is trying to propel this group in a particular direction for a particular reason, and she feels that because she's heard all of these stories from Mat and Perrin about the Aiel, really, are being the ones that hear about the Eye of the World being in jeopardy, she decides to take the group to the Eye of the World to try to save it. So that's a little bit of a stretch, honestly, like from a realism perspective. So I can see them instead putting Min in Tar Valon and having the boys and I guess maybe Egwene too. It's not clear that she's ever had any dreams up to this point, which is funny because she's a dreamer. But she has not had any of the bad dreams the boys have had. So we might see Ba'alzamon talk and actually do some of his, long-winded speeches about how they're going to turn to the Dark One if they only need to kneel now, and the Eye of the World will never serve you, and the other cryptic, strange things that he says that for some reason he thinks would be compelling to these farm boys that don't know what he is talking about. So I think episode 6 could have Loial, it could have the dreams, it could have, obviously we'll get to meet Siuan Sanche, and Moiraine and Siuan will be reunited. And then I think towards the end of that chapter, or maybe in the middle, Min might see all of them and give them some cryptic information or perhaps explained information that they are all part of the prophecy, which some viewers have been guessing. If you've been watching the non-book readers react to the episodes trying to guess who's the dragon, there's a pretty strong percentage of people who say all of them, and although we know that's not right, those of us who have read the books, there is only one dragon reborn, it is correct in a sense if you look at the viewings that Min has of you're all part of this. You're all part of the prophecy, you're all part of what the pattern is trying to do to enable the light to defeat the dark. So I think that that's going to satisfy a lot of audiences if we hear her say something like that towards the end of the series. So I'm hopeful for that. Since they're going to be in Tar Valon, it does bring up some questions of, well, if they're in Tar Valon, are they going to cleanse Mat of his connection to the dagger right away? I could see that happening. That happens instead in The Dragon Reborn because Mat has to travel all the way to Tar Valon in order to have a full, Ring of Sisters participate in that process of separating him from the dagger using this Angreal. But they could do it sooner. I don't know if the dagger really needs to serve the purpose that it does in book 2 to get Matt to follow his friends to Falme. I think he might do that anyway. So yeah, not sure, but that is a possibility. The other possibility is that they might have Nynaeve and Egwene do their accepted tests again earlier than we thought in their first arrival at the tower. Now that would be a lot to cover. So I don't know if we're going to take it to that exact. I don't know if we're going to take it that far, but that is a possibility. Particularly as we have that image from the trailer when Egwene falls in the water and then comes up among all those colors. I always thought that was a dream that she had, but it could be related to her accepted test. I kind of hope that they're going to save the accepted test for later, because I would like to see them in detail, and I just don't know if there's time. And then, I think episode 7 is going to be about them racing to save the Eye of the World. So episode 7 would have them travel the ways and all of the exciting things that happen there, and then arriving in Faldara, where I'm hoping that we're going to get Lan's backstory, which has been kind of eked out in dribbles throughout the season so far, but I think that wrapping that story up for him and giving him that, oh, he's an uncrowned king, is a really cool way to kind of bring his character into the forefront, which so far has been a background character, but a very likable one. So I'd love to see that for Lan. And then I don't know if they're going to travel the Blight in the last episode, or if they're going to travel the Blight in the episode before the last episode. It could go either way. But if they travel the Blight in the second to last episode, we could get all the way to them getting to the Eye of the World, maybe not having a green man. I'm not sure if that's going to make it into the story. And then hopefully encountering some Forsaken. I don't know if it will be the same ones that are in the book. It could just be Ba'alzamon, since that's the only one we've been introduced to so far. But, it's also true of the book, so they could also have Agenor there, and I think it was Bethamel. If it is Agenor, I would love to hear a little bit more about who Agenor is in this version of the story. So I would like to see us learn that Agenor is one of the Forsaken responsible for creating the Trollocs. And I think that would land really well, because a viewing audience has seen these monsters, they have seen the Trollocs, they have seen the Fades, and we have not asked the question of where did these come from? Like, they're just there. So it would be actually really interesting if they introduce Agenor as the human male channeler who, under the Dark One's guidance, used his mad scientist prowess to create these awful monsters. I think that would be really cool, but I don't know if we're going to get all of the Forsaken in the TV show that we have in the books, and I'm not sure if we're going to get the same ones that were in Eye of the World at the end of season 1 of the story. So we will have to just wait and see on that. And then there's so much to cover at the end of the story if they decide to stick with the original plotline, which we don't know, they may not. There's also the revelation that Rand can channel, of course. And then we have Tarwin's Gap, which I remember when I read The Eye of the World for the first time, I had no idea what was going on in that particular scene, because Tarwin's Gap is mentioned when they visit Faldara. Ingtar talks about how they're, maybe they don't have enough fighting prowess to hold the gap this time, but I did not have a good sense of the geography of Wheel of Time, and they didn't show any troops or anything that were overwhelmed by these hordes of Trollocs, so I had a very weak understanding of the importance of that. And when Rand, I don't know if he travels there, I'm not sure exactly how that happened. I'd have to go back and read it, but I know that there is a confrontation at Tarwin's Gap, and Rand kind of steps in and helps Ingtar win that battle, which is, I don't know if they're going to keep that or not. It would certainly be very epic, and if they do keep it, I would like to see more build up to it, which you can more easily do in a visual medium, actually, than in the book version, when none of our point of view characters visited that location and therefore don't really know what the you know, what the challenges are that are facing the world at that particular time. And then, you know, typically a series is going to have some kind of a denouement. So it's possible that we will then travel back to Faldara, since that's where, if they stick to the original story, where the second season would kick off. Maybe the Amyrlin is, you know, traveling there, and we see that scene that happens in book 2, where Rand is informed that he is the Dragon Reborn by Moraine, the Amyrlin Seat, and Verin, who I don't know if they're going to introduce her in season 1, but that would certainly be, that's one of my favorite scenes in The Great Hunt. So I would love for them to end with that, but I would also love for them to keep it and do it, you know, properly in season 2. So, you know, lots to think about. I don't know if my guesses are going to be anywhere close to correct. They can take a whole bunch of different directions with this. I'm still a little bit miffed on how they're going to get from where they are now to Tar Valon. It seems like they're going to have to skip a lot of time and just, you know, cut to the chase of, and we're here, which I'm not sure that I like, but that is certainly a strong possibility. And I'm really not sure how Perrin and Egwene are going to get to Tar Valon after what I assume is going to be this White Cloak confrontation. I don't know if they're going to get captured and rescued, or travel all the way to, you know, close to Tar Valon with the traveling people before this confrontation happens, or I'm not sure. So I'm really excited to see how they do it, though. I think that like I mentioned in my episode 4 video, my confidence is restored in the series. I can see what they're doing and why they're doing it, and I'm pretty pleased with a lot of decisions that they made in this most recent episode. I will be thrilled if we get some information about the prophecies, both the dark and the light, in the next episode. I think that would be very clarifying. I would love to see more about the antagonists in the Forsaken, kind of hinted or dropped into the story. I would really like them to do more with the prologue that's in the book, so the story of Lews Therin, at the end of this season. That is something that they could potentially fit into episode 8, with the revelation that Rand is going to be the Dragon Reborn, or at least, you know, we hope so. I really don't think they're going to change that, but some people have expressed concerns, so I'll say, you know, I hope so. Anyway, those are my predictions for the second half of The Wheel of Time. Given that I am a book reader, I don't know if predictions from me are really all of that meaningful, but if you would like to throw your predictions in the comments, please do. I will respond to them. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Again, I am brand new at YouTube videos, so I apologize for not being able to do the interesting things that I see other people doing with, like, cut screens and animations and other things. I would like to learn all of that, but right now I am just trying to figure out how to get in front of the camera and talk through the notes that I have written down, and then edit the video so that I cut out the parts where I feel like I'm rambling the most. That's my bar right now. But if you would like to see me do more of these, please comment. It's been fun so far. I really enjoy the Wheel of Time community, and I really want more people to watch the show, to enjoy this show. So please express your frustrations if you're frustrated. Please express your excitement and enjoyment if you're having a good time, and let me know if there are more topics you would like me to cover. Obviously, I'm going to do an episode 5 reaction, and if I can figure it out, I will do a reaction that is not live. I'm not brave enough to do that yet, but maybe where I'm responding in real time to the content that is being shown to me. So I might give that a go. We'll see if I can figure it out. Until next time, thanks. Where were you before? Where were you before? People like a cat in a YouTube video. Why are you just here now? This is my cat. His name is Fritz.